I went through a very long period in my life. I'm still very young, but I went through a really long period where I felt like I was constantly running from things and I wasn't ready to face certain things that I had gone through, wasn't ready to have those like difficult conversations with myself.
The story begins with a 12-year-old girl standing outside a candy shop, tears in her eyes because her favorite celebrity tweeted about her. That girl was Madison Beer, the celebrity, Justin Bieber. What Madison didn't realize was that this one tweet wouldn't just make her happy, it would completely change her life. That post became the doorway to fame, giving her international attention and turning her into a well-known figure. But along with all the spotlight came a darker side. She quickly fell under the tight control of the music industry, was pushed into the spotlight too fast, and found herself feeling alone. On top of that, she was pressured to keep silent while powerful men controlled how she was seen by the public. And right at the center of everything was Justin Bieber. He didn't just help introduce her to the world. He also may have stepped out of line and created situations that blurred professional boundaries. Still, Madison chose not to call him out. Instead, she stood by him, defended him, and carried the burden of his reputation as if it were her own. Let's get into the full story.
Does he still support you to this day? Do you still have any sort of relationship?
Yeah, of course. And people ask me this all the time. We spent so many years so close, and I think that we'll always have that sort of like bond that will remain no matter what.
Before everything changed, we need to rewind to where it all began. Let's go back for a moment. In 2012, Madison was just a regular girl uploading singing covers on YouTube. It was very similar to what Justin Bieber did in 2008 before Scooter Braun found him. She wasn't a star, just a kid with braces, surrounded by posters of Justin covering her bedroom walls. She even used one of his songs as her phone, ringtone. At that age, Madison's biggest dream was simply to meet Justin Bieber.
Nicole called me and was like, "What's going on? Did you see Justin Bieber's tweet?" And I was like, "About what?" She was like, "You?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And like, I freaked out and I hung up the phone. I was like hysterically crying outside of a candy store with my mom in the car. And I was like, "What's happening?" And we were going crazy.
By chance, Madison ended up on Justin's radar when he tweeted not just one, but 3 of her song covers. That simple act changed everything. It pushed her straight into the spotlight. But things started getting complicated not long after. Justin wasn't just another fan. He was 19 years old, incredibly rich, hugely famous, and already a major figure in the industry. Madison, on the other hand, was only 12, a middle schooler just starting out. Right after his tweet, Justin signed her to his label and his manager. Scooter Braun stepped in to manage her too. Suddenly, they were part of the same team, operating under the same system. In a way, Justin became her boss. And for a long time, Madison felt genuinely thankful for the opportunity.
Justin fan before he discovered me. He's great. It's awesome that I get to have somebody who I literally looked up to my whole childhood as my mentor. It's really cool.
At the time, it felt like everything was falling into place. But looking back now, things weren't so simple. Right after Madison got signed, her career didn't take off. As expected, it actually slowed down. Her team held back her debut, saying she seemed grown up for her age. And by team, we're talking about the adults managing her career. She was still just a kid, yet her image was already being shaped and controlled by others behind the scenes. Madison once talked about this in an interview, saying, "There was a conversation around me when I was 14. I remember people saying, 'We can't put this out there, yet she's too young, and it won't work.' Adults were making those calls, and she had little say in it." Even though Madison has always spoken positively about Justin, you can sense that their connection ran deep, despite the age gap. In one interview, she mentioned they'll always share a bond. She still uses the advice and guidance he gave her, along with the skills she picked up from him. Madison also said that Justin supported her throughout the journey.
His main piece of advice is just to never give up because there's going to be a lot of negativity. No matter what, like focus on your music and what's important and never take your eye off the target.
Now fans are starting to wonder, was this really about mentorship or something more about control? When a global star discovers a 12-year-old on YouTube, becomes her label, her manager, and the face of her brand, it's more than just support. That kind of setup gives one person a huge amount of influence over someone's identity, confidence, and entire path in life. And for years, Justin and Madison stayed very close, say maybe too close. Still, when asked about the professional side of things, Madison mentioned that Justin didn't really spend much time with her. He was often caught up in his own music and projects. So that brings up a question: if he wasn't that involved in her day-to-day work, why did he have the final say on her music? Why was he deciding which songs could be released? This kind of control reportedly held her back. Madison only put out songs that Justin personally approved, which slowed her progress. A lot of people believe this wasn't guidance, it was restriction. Things looked even more confusing because, while Madison often downplayed how close they were, there were many paparazzi photos showing them together, often on hikes, getting food late at night, and attending public events. These moments didn't really look like business meetings. There's also that one uncomfortable video where they were walking a trail, and when the paparazzi showed up, Justin quickly ran off, leaving Madison behind. That's not the first time he's done that. Fans have seen him leave Hailey like that too when cameras showed up, even in the early days of their relationship. And then there's a rumor from 2017, a blind item that claimed Madison wasn't even working on projects with Justin at that time. Instead, it suggested she was being paid just to be around him, almost like a calming presence. No music, no business, just there to keep things steady. Now, it may sound like wild gossip, but the timeline adds up. Madison signed in 2012 and stayed until 2015. In those 3 years, she only released 2 singles, Melodies and Unbreakably, along with a collaboration for Monster High. She also posted a remix of Valentine by Cody Simpson on her YouTube channel, which aired on Radio Disney but wasn't officially released. That's fewer than 5 projects in 3 years, so it really does seem like she was more visible than actually active in her career. There were even claims that she was earning around $10,000 a week just to stick close to Justin, stay available all the time, and help keep his image together. Reports say that Justin's team was actually behind those payments. She wasn't acting like a girlfriend, but more like someone tasked with keeping him grounded. And this was during a rough time in Justin's life. He was constantly in the headlines, often for all the wrong reasons. There was drama with Selena Gomez, chaos surrounding his choices, and moments that suggested he wasn't doing well emotionally. All this was right before he started dating Hailey. A lot of people now believe Justin doesn't always seek help when things get hard. Instead, he turns to whoever is around and leans on them to carry the weight. Some fans believe that's the only reason his marriage with Hailey has lasted this long, because she kept everything together. But now, the rumors say she's tired of constantly trying to hold things up. And if you look at Justin's recent behavior, he seems more out of control than ever. Rather than dealing with it, he's still pushing back, refusing to get the help people close to him say he needs. He even responded angrily on Instagram when fans asked him to seek therapy. And we can't ignore how his fans sometimes turned on Madison. In 2018, many of them blamed her for causing problems between Justin and Selena. He didn't say anything to defend her, so Madison had to speak for herself. She said Justin was like a big brother to her and that she would never think of him in a romantic way. Still, if that 2017 blind item has any truth in it, it would make sense that his team paid Madison to stay close and keep him steady. Even back then, she kept telling people that Justin was doing well, which many now think was all just part of a planned public image. She might have even been coached on what to say. And don't forget, she was only 17. Justin also had a habit of doing big, public gestures that gave people the wrong idea. Like the time he brought Madison on stage and gave her a sweet birthday shout-out. On the surface, it looked cute, but behind the scenes, the uneven power dynamic was way more obvious than the applause.
Sing her happy birthday. Because it's a really special day, so I'm sing. Alright? Happy birthday to you.
Even with all the warning signs, the moment that really had everyone talking was when a Reddit post came out in 2014. It claimed that Madison and Justin were more than just friends, and suggested their closeness may have crossed lines. At that time, Justin was 20 and Madison was just 15. Neither of them ever spoke about it directly, but the way they acted around each other raised eyebrows. For example, there were pictures of Justin placing his hands on Madison in the studio, taken just before her 15th birthday. That was also around the same time Justin flew Sophia Richie, who was also still in her teens, to another country where age laws were more relaxed. Many people pointed this out as part of a concerning pattern, and people had their own opinions about where he may have picked up that kind of behavior. Things got even more uncomfortable when Justin posted a photo of Madison with the caption, "My friend Madison Beer has a bigger nose than me. Who agrees?" The angle of the picture made it seem like she was lying in bed, which only made things worse. What started as a joke quickly became something else. Justin kept making comments about her nose repeatedly, and after a while it felt more like public shaming than teasing. It's a pattern others have noticed, especially Hailey, who's dealt with similar behavior. One person summed it up well. When someone constantly makes jokes about your appearance, even if you're beautiful, it starts to affect how you see yourself. Madison had already spoken in interviews about how being considered too pretty at a young age made her a target. She was only 14 when people began discussing her looks before she even got to debut as an artist. Then here's Justin, making fun of her appearance in front of millions. That's not harmless. Teasing, it's something that sticks. In the end, it seemed like Madison was caught in a role she'd never asked for. She stayed close, loyal, maybe hoping that he would fully back her music career. But those hopes never really turned into anything real. Let's not forget. She later moved to Los Angeles at just 16. She was living alone, trying to figure out how to survive in a tough industry. She didn't have personal security and no parent checking in on her daily, but dealing with living alone was probably the easiest part. She had to juggle interviews, record producers, and constant pressure from all directions. That's the side of the story most people don't talk about.
You've been living in LA since you were 16, right? Without any family?
Well, okay, so I moved here when I was 14, and my mom, my brother.
People are starting to see it for what it really was, a setup. In Hollywood, when teenagers are left to figure things out alone, it's often labeled as independence. But in reality, it leaves them vulnerable. Madison's situation is a clear example. If Justin truly wanted to protect her, why did it end up feeling like she was the one expected to look out for him? And here's where things get even more surprising. Rumors say Hailey knew all about Madison. She officially started dating Justin in 2015, and that was during the same time Madison was still around. Hailey has never publicly mentioned Madison, but they follow each other on Instagram. Still, Justin continues to comment on Madison's posts every now and then, especially on her birthdays. That has fans wondering how Hailey really feels about all this. Justin is known for hyping up other women online, but when it comes to his own wife, he rarely posts anything unless it's teasing or sarcastic. Earlier this year, though, Madison finally opened up about where things stand between her, Justin, and Hailey. She said, "I love Justin and Hailey Bieber very much. I was with them recently and we were like, how special that we've known each other for so long. I've known Hailey since I was 10 and Justin since I was 12. We're still in each other's lives. And now they're married with a baby. So it looks like Madison is going to stand by Justin no matter what." But not everyone feels the same way. Some people are calling out what they see. One person said, "I've been saying this, Justin stays quiet because he knows he's not innocent." Another added, "He seems to have connections with everyone but his own wife." Someone else mentioned a darker idea that sometimes people who have been mistreated end up repeating those same behaviors. And, of course, no conversation about Justin goes by without Selena Gomez being brought up. A fan said Selena was lucky to walk away from all of this chaos. And maybe that's the bigger point here. It's not just about what happened. It's about the silence, the people who looked away, and those who protected Justin no matter what. Subscribe for more.